Yes, that's fine. That's fine. And actually, this
Okay.
will be a rather short presentation. Um, so indeed, I have a project that I'm currently working on, which focuses on the art education in the state of Kerala in India, so in the south of India. And the ideal would be to focus on mental health, so to see art education as a promotion towards mental health. Now let me see, because I think that since you uploaded, Tatiana, that I can't continue to the next slide. I can, okay. So in essence, the current working title is that we are moving towards a resilient, socially durable society. And in order to accomplish that, one of the tools that we would be deploying would be exploring the future's visions of and for, in first instance, the city of Kochi, formerly Cochin, Kerala, and we would be aiming for the year 2075. The aim of today's session would be me seeking inspiration and precedence on how to proceed and optimize, because this is a very small project at present with great potential to influence many, many, many millions of children, smaller children up to 16 years old in the entire country of India. That is if all would go according to the utopian view. Let me quickly give you a brief positioning of the project. So in essence, we are working with two players, me being one of the players on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm sorry, the animations are not coming through, but so on the right-hand side of your screen, I am part of the Erasmus University College of Brussels, more particularly of the Open Time Applied Futures Research Center. So we're located in Brussels, in Belgium. We are at present still the only academic research center that focuses on futures research in Belgium. And our aim is to truly focus on that practice-based inter and transdisciplinary futures field, mixing or finding synergy between developing methodology and also always linking it to education. On the other hand, we have the Art Outreach Society in India, so in Kerala, in the south of India, where a non-profit organization, so Taos, was created in 2016 with the specific aim of promoting the arts, but providing it as a platform for the advancement of mental health and of community building, more particularly for the most vulnerable people in society. So that would be a focus that is very strong on women, on children, and on prisoners in the state of Kerala. At present, they have reached over 1,000 students. They've worked with over 1,800 women. And so with this project, we are aiming to reach many more people. In a bit more detail, I wanted to highlight the founder, Mrs. Tanya Abraham, who is currently working on her PhD in Switzerland. And because she's not only the founder, she's the inspiration behind the entire project of Taos. And she's been awarded several honors, mainly focusing on social innovation, on women achievements. And so she is the lady on the right hand side picture, who's entirely on the left in the salmon colored dress. And so she and I are the main collaborators on this project, naturally with many other players, including the schools that are involved, including several other organizations in the south of India. Now, the convergence between our two centers. So we're meeting where we want to focus on, so towards that resilient, socially durable society. And so on one hand, we have our knowledge center in Brussels, where we are also a UNESCO chairholder through our senior researcher, Maya van Leemput, where we do try to focus on futures literacy. At present, that's going quite well. We are able to reach very different stakeholders, which is interesting. And so for India, this is particularly interesting because of the bottom-up visioning exercise rather than the top-down implementation. A second aspect of our knowledge center, especially in our current structural research, is the focus on polylogs, especially from a participative futures standpoint. And so on the other side, but on the same side, we have Taos in India, where their focus has always been on multidimensional dialogues between society and artists. They also add to that the aspect of healing through art. So they are aware of the many societal problems in the south of India, which are at present, unfortunately, strengthened by the alcohol abuse in the state of Kerala. And so the desire to drive societal change through art stands central. So this is where we meet. This is where we start exploring visions for not only Kerala. At first instance, it would be Cochin and Ernakulam, so two cities very close together. And again, the aim would be towards 2075. As we all know, the further we go into the future, the more we would allow the imagination to run free and to allow people not to think of themselves, but of truly their grandchildren and the type of society they would like to leave for their future generations. So if we go to the next slide. So the true aim of this project is to see art education and the expression through art as a means to an end. So it's not the end in itself. The end would be that more resilient society, again, for those most vulnerable groups in the state of Kerala. At present, the project is up and running. So if we go to the next slide. Yes, I'm sorry, again, the positioning is not coming through entirely. But
okay, so finally, I can try to I can show you another possibility.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. If you don't mind clicking on the slides, it's no problem. It's just
yes,
the text has shifted a little, but it's no problem. It's no problem. Again, the aim is to seek inspiration from people who are present. So this is all just background information.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
No worries. Technology is great until it doesn't work. We all know that. So we can actually move to the next slide because we are currently in the first phase of exploring the future visions of Cochin. And so the very first step would be to involve children, because their imagination runs quite wild and quite free, but they're also very perceptive in seeing what goes around what happens around them without too much judgment, because this is how they grow up. So there is very little bias. A second phase would be focused on adults who do have more of a current foot on the ground on reality. So that would be through workshops. And then finally, in this first stage, we would be developing scenarios. If we go to the next slide, it's a little more clear, and then the next one will be even more clear. So we are currently in the process of starting the playful curriculum exercises with elementary and middle school children. Next phase in the spring of 2024, so starting early next year, we hope, is to have workshops, co-creative participative workshops, in which we involve stakeholders that have a vested interest in ensuring that the future of Kerala is inclusive and is resilient. And so if we move to the next slide, at present, and so this is supposed to slide through, but so at present, we have an agreement with 5 government schools focused on children between the ages of 6 and 16 years old, so grades 2 until grade 9, to, in a very playful manner, ask them for their views on how they would wish society to develop, also on seeing or understanding how they view society as it is today. And so we're using several techniques that are very grounded in the futures field. Focus on Teach the Future. So the Futures Thinking Playbook offers many of the very elementary building stones to work towards gathering information and, well, hopefully introducing futures literacy in education as well. And then on the other hand, we do have the futures literacy lab experience that we take with us from the UNESCO chair. And so at present, the integration into the curriculum focuses for the very small children on writing postcards from the future to themselves or to their grandchildren. And then as the children grow older, we do ask them to take further steps to focus not only on images of today, but also how they believe society will develop with the knowledge that they have today, to then shift to their ideal vision, their preferred future vision, to then to the older children also drawing, because again, this is art education, so it's drawing, it's not words, we're truly using visuals, to the older children or the older pupils, introducing elements that they believe stand in the way of truly achieving the preferred future that has become apparent in several of the other phases. So that's step one. The curriculum will run for the academic year, so until early summer of next year. If we go to the next slide, in the spring of the next of this year, so next spring, I will also be holding workshops with relevant stakeholders, and so again within the nexus of art education and societal resilience. And so there we have stakeholders from well, very diverse fields, ranging from art educators to policymakers to counselors to social influencers, but on the other hand, also those vulnerable groups. So truly involve battered women, abused women, neglected children, perhaps involving orphanages, which is a step further. We have not achieved that yet, but it is on the list of hopeful blocks to take with us, and then also prisoners. But the first two are the main focus, so women and children. And in order to run those workshops, the methodology has not been set yet. I am myself a student, a former student of Jim Dater, so his mentorship during my PhD completion stays with me. I'm a product of my history. So the University of Hawaii Manoa Futures, the generic futures model, does remain with me. I think it's a very valuable experience to share. On the other hand, the 2x2 SES system is also something that is on the table. But so that is step two. To then ultimately, if we go to the next slide, to then ultimately work towards several scenarios for the year 2075 to then arrive at a desired scenario. So this is phase one of the project. This is what we have in place. This is what will take place. If we go to the next slide, we do remain very hopeful for the future, because in summer of 2024, the idea and the ideal would be to share, so to have a dissemination of the information that we built, the scenarios that we built, to share them for critical input. The sharing would take place through art exhibitions, art displays, but equally in schools where teachers would be invited to share their opinions, but also through other stakeholders. So truly get the scenario or scenarios to different stakeholders, to then arrive to gather their input, to then arrive to strategic points of attention, which we can introduce to policymakers in Kerala to shape the policy of the future. So ideally, if we go to the next slide, which is almost the final slide, the expansion of the project, as I mentioned in the previous slide, would greatly depend on the evaluation that we make in next summer. If that goes very favorably, we would like to make further recommendations for the introduction of futures literacy, to have it embedded in the curriculum, the educational settings in the entire state of Kerala, which is ambitious, but we are hopeful. It would also mean that we introduce strategic goals for further synergetic partnerships, including with FICCI, and FICCI is the Federation of International Chambers of Commerce, which are quite strongly positioned in the south of India. So they would be a very, very important partner to take with us. And so the ideal would be we start in Kerala, we expand to the south of India, and perhaps in several years, we might reach the Ministry of Education, which at present is somewhat difficult, as with many political evolutions in the world. At present, the focus in India is very strongly on reintroducing former ideology, and so we'll have to see how the political developments continue. So this is all background information to actually lead you to one of my final slides, where I seek advice from the experts. No, yes, so that slide from the experts present at the conference today, or people who are watching this at a later time. And so first of all, I am looking for precedents in using art and art education in the creation of future scenarios, because it's quite common to see the building or the making of scenarios, to then see them translate into art, to then project them to different groups, to make them very accessible. And so this is somewhat taking a different approach, where we are gathering visual images to then create future scenarios. So I'm looking for precedents of where that has happened before. That would be a first. A second source of inspiration that I'm looking for is for tips and tricks on futures workshops that have focused particularly on vulnerable societal groups, because especially with those vulnerable groups, it's not always evident to use the same methodology as you would with people who are somewhat more grounded in the educational field or in the professional field. And then I'll skip to the final element, because in Belgium, I don't know if on the previous slide, I don't know if this is the same. In Belgium, it is currently extremely difficult to find financial support or funding for collaborations between Belgium and India, meaning that all Global South initiatives, all developmental scholarships or funding exclude India for some reason that people are unable to answer. And so again, there, if people in the conference do have advice for funding and financial support, that would be very welcome. And so I added my details on the final slide. So these are my details, including the details of Tanya Abraham in the south of India. And I see that we have someone who raised their hand.
Hello, Kim.
Hello.
My name is Aletia Montero.
Hi,
I'm
Aletia.
the online chair of this program. And it is really great to see works like this. Actually, my profession is psychofuture artist.
Okay.
Because it's the mixture of psychology, futures, and art.
Okay.
So I'm specialized in personal futures, but also I'm the pioneer of forward theater. And that's one precedent for you to know. Forward theater focuses on building scenarios since an experiential via.
Okay.
And for example, we used forward theater and in emotional intelligence workshop and some other things when we did a project with women in imprisonment, precisely.
Okay.
It was a LIALA project from the World Future Studies Federation, and we used forward theater in order these people to watch their possibilities when coming out from the jail. And it is super powerful, and that's like the main case, success case, but forward theater has been applied like in several contexts and countries and all that. Besides that, I'm also a sensory artist, and I have been using sensoriality since long ago within the imagination of desirable futures coming to present.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also want to say that I'm happy that you use the Futures Thinking Playbook, because I'm also a core team member of Teach the Future, so that's our jewel. So I'm proud of that also.
Yes.
I don't know if they can help you, but maybe you can meet Maya Van Lemput and Patrick Corsi from Belgium. Maybe they know something about what you are looking for. I don't know. And I think, yeah, I understand you when you're saying that it's very difficult to fight or to I don't know, to negotiate with the decision takers that are over in the countries, because yeah, that's a big barrier. And mental health, despite COVID pandemics, has been super unpaid attention, right?
Yes.
So I'm very glad to know about this, and count on me.
Great. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. So I will definitely contact you for perhaps future collaboration, because if the project would be successful on this very small scale, we are hopeful, especially with the connections that Tanya Abraham has. She's quite well versed to take it further. So all the help would be useful. So definitely, thank you so much, Alethea. Yes, I'll be in touch.